Welcome to Country acknowledges our First Peoples, the custodians who continue their stewardship across our vast lands. We invite you to be our guests and make a true connection.
Ya welcome ya, Iorokan.
Murrumbidgee.
Yapalina.
Bro.
Nanga.
Kapmon.
Yaldane Godada Goda.
Welcome to Murrumbidgee Country, guys. You're now in Kuyu Beach or Kuyu. Come on down.
Murrumbidgee.
Chingiwala.
Welcome, guys. My name's Dustin Maloney.
All called to welcome you.
Natwa. Welcome.
Yalada Jangura. Garida. Kubriwara Bubu. Kuyu.
Koji Eagle.
Natamwa Woman Indie.
Hi, I'm Rhoda Roberts, a proud Widgeable woman and a member of the Welcome to Country Board. It is my pleasure to be here today to announce this amazing series of events. The journey begins with Welcome to Country. You can imagine the unexpected. You know, taking a First Nations travel experience is much more than simply just taking a photograph of our ancient landscape. It is about the depth of listening, witnessing the diversity of our cultures, the mystery of rituals, the food, the language, the story and the song. Up until the 8th of December, we're featuring a series of free online events, and we'll give you a sneak preview of 17 life-changing experiences. These are just a taste of what we have on offer. And so now I'm going to hand you over to your next cultural experience with some amazing guides from across the country. Enjoy.
Greeting, friends. My name is Vince Ross. I was christened Vincent Trevor Ross, but I don't use the word Vincent too much these days because I remember my mother always called me Vincent when she was angry with me, so I got a fair bit of that. So Vince is the name basically, and I come and speak to you today with many years of experience of, I guess, being an Indigenous person, but someone who's been out there and been involved in a whole range of different issues, sort of thing. So I just want to be able to share today something of, I guess for me it's the hope and the possibilities are before us as Indigenous people and what we can do in the way of changing attitudes, being a strong voice for Indigenous development, whether it's through tourism, whether it's training, work experience, whatever. So there's so many things that are available for us today and for Indigenous people to be involved in, and I've been somebody that's been a real ambassador, I think, really in a sense for a lot of that positive work that has happened and is happening, and the possibilities for things to change in the future down the track. So I've done a lot of work we've done with tourism, been involved with that, and our centre in Geelong, Narana. We set that centre up quite a few years ago now, and it's been going very strong, and it has a very strong message, but it has not only a message for the wider community, but it has a message for our people that we can do anything that we want to put our minds to. And my message is to our mob out there is that, you know, if you think you can, you definitely can. And you need to have a crack at it. I think that, you know, stuff that I've been involved with the tourism and also Welcome to Country, which has been a great thing. We've had a time where we've been having a yarn with a cuppa and a yarn with myself, people with me, and that's been a really interesting time, because just listening to each other and sharing stories, it's not, in some ways I'm probably not much different to a lot of other people that have achieved and done lots of things in their life. And for somebody like myself, born on the banks of the Murrumbidgee River at Balranald, a little country town in New South Wales, it's interesting that experience of growing up as a fringe dweller on the rivers. It's been a time of really struggle, many of it, to get through, and not only through the education system, but in the workplace, in the sporting arena. All that sort of stuff has been one heck of a struggle to do it. And I often think, well, if Vince Ross can do it, I reckon anyone can do it. I think it's what you want to put your minds to try and bring about change. And it's change what we're looking for, and we want to see some better things happen for our own people out there, our own mob. Some of them in a lot of places. As we've travelled around Australia, we've been around a few times, and right up the top there, and we've noticed a lot of our people are, there's quite a few of them are getting out there having a go now, which is really good. They're developing a little enterprise, a little tourism enterprise, whatever it is, and I think that they're encouraging other groups to get involved and to create some of this pathway through for our people. So as Indigenous people, instead of us saying, well, the world's against us and we're doing it pretty tough and nobody seems to care whether we stand up or we fall over, well, that's not quite true. And my experience has been that once we have a go and we get out there, we can mix it with the rest of them. Because when I started work and did that centre down at Geelong, there were a lot of people saying, well, it's a blackfellas outfit, I don't think it'll go very far. Well, it's gone a long way. It's won 3 state tourism awards, and it's been very successful and is still going. That's over 30 years now, and that's a real credit, I think, to those people who got behind that belief that we could actually do it, and people supported me through that, and we were able to create this really worthwhile place. And I think what that centre does, like a lot of other tourism enterprises we've got going around Australia, it says something to our mob. It says, we can do it. We can do it. If you want to see the change, I always keep saying, and people are saying it through their organisations, let's get involved in the change. Let's see if we can be the change agents in the community and the places where we live. As Enid and I, my wife, as we travel around the countryside, we're here at Taree at the moment, staying with our daughter and son-in-law and family. And the thing is that in the short time we've been in Taree, we've already met quite a few people, Indigenous, non-Indigenous, and we've talked about what's happening around the countryside. We've talked about the welcome to country to people. We've suggested that we need to continue building that partnership together with all the different groups around Australia. And this is where we're going to see more change. And I'm excited about what I'm seeing now, because as I was growing up on those riverbanks, 18 years of it before I moved into a house, I experienced some really rough stuff, and I would have thought that back in that time, I don't think things will change much. But I had a mother who said, we're not second-class citizens. She said, son, you get out there and you make it happen. I'm glad old mum said that to us, because the brother and I have both done it. We've had a go. We've been supported by a lot of people in the communities where we've lived, and it's because we've got up and we've had a go. And so as we travel, we are reminding people, not only do we promote Narana, they're handing out leaflets and stuff like that, but we're able to talk to people about the sort of things that need to change. A lot of Indigenous people have had so many policies given to us and so much paperwork, and half of the time, most of that sort of situation it's never really borne any fruit. It's done nothing much at all. And so all the policies and all the writings are not going to do it. It's about when you and I put our shoulder to the wheel, as it were. We get in there and we start pushing things along a bit ourselves. And when we start to do that, we'll see people responding to that very positive side of what we're trying to do. So, you know, and like one young fella, he's saying, "Oh, me poor black fella." And I just said to him, "Brother, we may not have much money in the bank, but we're not poor black fellas. We're rich in culture and history." And I said, we need to share that, because that's where we're going to get changes in the law. We're going to get changes in our local government and within mainstream government. We're going to get those changes because of how we step out and as we take charge of our own destiny. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? We can't keep on blaming the systems. We can challenge the systems, and I've had a couple of visits to Canberra talking to ministers up there and just explaining that this is what our people are able to do. And I've been encouraged by seeing a lot of positive work, you know, through the Welcome to Country, where they're showing some of the different Indigenous groups out there. They're just building. They're building on stuff, you know, and so that for me is a very great encouragement. And I just love being able to make the connections with people and talk about the positive stuff, what's happening. You know, we've got a lot of black deaths in custody. We've got a lot of young people in the juvenile, which I've been involved with that, in the prisons and all that sort of thing, and work with kids in probation, street kids and all that. And, you know, the message has always been that it's only together, as we work together, we can make the changes. Sometimes it's a bit hard trying to do it all by yourself. I've experienced that, but I've now experienced that we've got to get people on board, bring people along with you. And the best way of doing it is not to abuse them because some of our family were taken away, or, you know, you took our land and you did this. And yeah, that's part of the history. And it's about trying to help our people to understand our history. And that's another a part that I'm fairly right into, in trying to sit with people long enough, build a relationship, and to talk about our history. Talk about what is the true history of this country. And, you know, it was before Captain Cook. And, you know, there were a lot of other things happening. So let's talk about the total history of this place we call Australia, which is a great country. And I'm excited about the changes I see, and I want to continue being part of making some of those changes, maybe just in a small way, maybe just through building a relationship. And just talking to somebody just the other day, they were excited about the possibilities of building some sort of a centre here in Taree. And so I'm having some further discussion with them. And, you know, like as a consultant, I mean, I've done stacks of things along the way, but we're just only too happy just freely to offer our services to some of the communities and people as we travel, to encourage them to look at what they've got in their area and to recognise the strengths within that area and then build on that. And so I'm hoping that the meeting with these people, that we can talk about some of the ways that you can go about doing that. There's many ways of building a house, as we know, and if we get the right people, we get the right product, then the sort of thing can grow and develop. And Taree could be a place that, you know, could be doing a lot of that promotion of that sort of thing, you know, for all people to gather. And education, because that's what our centre was all about. It's about education, and we can't expect people to respond to us if they don't understand the full story. You and I, as Indigenous people, we have a role and responsibility to tell the true story. But in telling the true story, not to be abusive about it, but to be connecting with people. Because, you know, when you start getting abusive, people just walk away, or they pull the shutters down, they close off, they don't want anything, they don't want to hear that sort of stuff. So you can do it in another way. And the other way I try to do it is a little bit like our mum used to give us the medicine. She used to cover it up. She'd put it in the jam, or she'd do something like that used to fool us into some sort of false security or whatever. And I think when we're talking to people, if you start belting them over the head straight away, they get a little bit angry with that. So what you've got to do is you've got to disguise it a little bit and gently give it to them so they'll take it. And, that was interesting. So that's the way I like to operate with people, and share the story, share the truth. It's all now about the truth telling. There's a lot of people still don't want to hear the truth. But there's an old biblical term talks about the truth. It's the very thing that sets us free. When you can own up to it and know that, and that people realise that this is what they've done, and so that's what we need to do, and we don't repeat things like what has happened in the past. And if we don't start changing things now, and I say to people, well, I'm not saying you're guilty, but if you want to continue with an attitude that stays like that, then I'm going to say to you, and I'm going to challenge you, and say that I think you're playing still carrying a part of that negative stuff, that we don't need that. We don't need that in our country. We need the positive stuff. And between all people, as a multicultural nation, we've got so many people that have come from other countries, and many of those people I've met through our centre, they're wanting to know the true history of this country. They don't want to just hear about Cookie when he rowed his boat in. I don't think he rowed it in. I think he blew it in with wind or something, didn't he? But anyhow, I wasn't around at the time, but they were trying to tell me some of that stuff at school. But I think it's important for us. We get the balances between all this sort of stuff, and there are many groups out there doing reconciliation. There's people doing positive community development work right across our country, and we can feel proud of this land, and we can even feel more proud when we see people coming together and acknowledging what is the nation that they live in, that sort of thing. So as we listen, as we look, as we view, as we have conversation with each other, I just hope that you will be you'll be responding to the positive things in your area and in your life and what you can do. And my thing is that I want to say to each of us, and those who may hear this, may sit down and think about where we're going as a nation, and then raise the question, what is my part? Who was that fellow in America that says, don't ask what America can do for you, but what you can do for America? Well, I don't know, they're having some fun with old Trump at the moment, aren't they? And Mr. Biden. But anyhow, folks, lovely to come to you via this video, and I want to thank you for what you might take away from when you watch some of this stuff, when you hear it from time to time. I hope it resonates with you, and some positive stuff becomes part of your DNA. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome to Country acknowledges our First Peoples, the custodians who continue their stewardship across our vast lands. We invite you to be our guests and make a true connection. Welcome to Country is a non-profit organisation. It's at the helm of an Aboriginal man, and it's run by Aboriginal staff.
All Australians should be passionate about our own country, and Aboriginal culture is a key part of that.
We are the original storytellers, and if everyone understands that message, I think that we'll have a far better future for all of Australia.
It's about learning and connecting.
As we know, it's the oldest living culture in the world.
Simply, it's the premier site to find amazing experiences and great products around Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australia.
You've got to have a great website. So what was needed was to have a common platform that could do the marketing, the sales, all those things that small businesses, whether they're Indigenous or not, struggle over. so people can focus on the thing they're passionate about and deliver that business.
It's about creating employment and economic opportunities for the community. That's the number one thing.
The best thing is by purchasing from us, they are directly giving back and supporting Indigenous communities, artists and their families.
The key is to enable them to stay on their country or in their city and be able to give them a platform to really flourish and create self-sufficiency.
It is basically self-determination and learning about country through the narrative of our lens.
We're not doing this because we want to put money into our pockets, but rather we want to see community benefit from what we're doing.
We want to be able to show that we're in control and managing our stories. We want to be able to share those stories, and we want to be able to create our own jobs and create our own economies.
For me and my wife's business, we've got the daughters all working. When we started, we had the brothers involved, we had the aunties involved, we had the uncles involved. Yeah, so we show them what Paraka look like and get them to throw a spear also as well.
We're rich in culture and history, and I said we need to share that because that's where we're going to get changes.
It's a great initiative, you know, really connecting with Indigenous tourism, grassroots people, teaching culture and educating people.
This is a form of livelihood, it's independence, it's self-esteem, and it brings pride.
Now that I'm here working for trips over the last 2 years, I've actually became a master reef guide.
You know, some of us are really reaping the benefits of that in terms of employment, you know, self-empowerment, you know, self-sustainability, economic development in our communities.
It is really time that this country started to embrace the importance, the knowledge, the power and the beauty of Aboriginal culture.
I have always wanted for non-Indigenous people in this country to actually experience, meet and connect with Aboriginal people.
When you visit a destination, you hear that local story, you feel the seasons, you witness the passion that people have on the land that has been there since time immemorial. There's nothing quite like it.
Anytime any Australian's looking for an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander cultural experience, the first thing they'll think of is welcometocountry.com.
To continue your journey and make a true connection right across Australia, visit us at welcometocountry.com.